Hello students, myself Jinalisha welcomes you on behalf of Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the new chapter, that is chapter number 5, Morphology of Flowering Plants. So students, first of all, what is morphology? As we all know, the study of the external characteristics, external structures of the living organism, what is that called as morphology? So basically in this chapter, which structures are present externally in the flowering plants, we will be studying them in detail. So let us begin with the chapter. First of all, we will deal with the introductory part of the chapter. So first of all, what is morphology? So basically it is the branch of science that deals with the study of form and structure. So basically the study of the form and structure of the living organism is called as morphology. So basically it is the study of the various external features of an organism. So to study the external features, external characteristics, external structures of the living organisms, it is called as the morphology. Here as we are dealing with the plant morphology, so what is plant morphology? So students, plant morphology, it is also called as the external morphology, and it deals with the study of the shape, size and structure of plants and their parts. So basically the plant morphology deals with the study of the size of the plant, structure of the plant, shape of the plant as well as the plant parts. Now which are the plant parts? The roots, the stem, the leaves, the flowers, the fruits and seeds. So study of these all plant parts, the study of the shape, the size and structure of all these plants will be coming under the field called as the plant morphology. Now we know that the wide range in the structure of the higher plant will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperms show large diversity in external structure or morphology, they are all characterized by the presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. Now we know that the angiospermic plants, they have large diversity in their external structure. They show the diversity in their external structure. But all these angiospermic plants, they show the presence of roots, stems, leaves, flowers and fruits. Now students, in the chapter number 2nd and 3rd, basically we have dealt with the classification of plants which was based on the morphological and other characteristics. So you have studied chapter 2nd and 3rd. In that we have studied regarding the classification of plants. Now we know that the plants were classified on the basis, mainly on the basis of the morphological characteristics and some other characteristics. So students, to make the classification program a success, basically the knowledge of morphology is must. So basically morphology helps us in classifying the organisms. So for any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plant, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. So कोई भी organisms को classify करने के लिए, उनके understanding के लिए we need to deal with some technical terms, some certain definitions. So all these technical terms and definitions related to the plant morphology we will be studying in this particular chapter. We also need to know about the possible variations in the different parts found as adaptations of the plant to their environment. Now see, all the plants will have stem, all the angiosperms will have stem, roots, leaves, flowers, fruits, seeds. ये सब होने वाला है, लेकिन ये सब parts में there will be certain variations. Why are there certain variations? So basically the variations are there as an adaptation to the environment. कोई प्लांट डेजर्ट में होगा, कोई प्लांट पोलर रीजन्स में होगा, कोई प्लांट बेसिकली मीजोफाइटिक प्लांट होगा. So basically according to the adaptations, they will have the different plant parts. So what are these adaptations related to? This may be related to the habitat, this may be related to the protection, for climbing, for storage, etc. Say for example, डेजर्ट प्लांट्स है, उनका लीफ एरिया क्या होगा, रिड्यूस होगा. क्यों रिड्यूस होगा? ताकि वो ट्रांसपिरेशन ना करे एंड वाटर लॉस ना हो. सो सी, सबके पास लीफ है, बट लीफ के जो स्ट्रक्चर्स है वो सब में कैसे है, डिफरेंट है, वेरिएशन है. सो all the plants though have these common structures, but they will show the variations in these structures. And why do they show variations? They show variations as a result of adaptation to the environment. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stem and leaves. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. So कोई भी flowering plants को आप निकालोगे, pull out करोगे या weed को निकालोगे, what you will see? You will see the root, you will see the stem as well as you will see the leaves. They may also have the flowers and fruits. So basically the underground part of the flowering plant is called as a root system, and the portion of the plant which is above the ground, it is called as the shoot system. So there are two regions. The part of a flowering plant above the ground, it is called as the shoot system, and the part of the plant under the ground, it is called as the shoot system. Say for example, if we consider this as a ground, so the portion of the plant under the ground, it is called as the root system, and this portion, it is called as the shoot system. So basically the part of the plant below the ground or under the ground, it is the root system, and above the ground, it is called as the shoot system. So which are the parts of the flowering plants? Now flowering plant, it consists of a long cylindrical axis which is differentiated into underground root system and an aerial shoot system. So basically there is a long cylindrical axis divided into two regions. One is the underground root system and another one is the aerial shoot system. Now what root system consists of? So the root system, it consists of roots and its branches. So root system is composed of the root and its branches. Whereas the shoot system, it have a stem, it have a system of branches and it will have the leaves. Shoot system के पास stem होते हैं, branches होते हैं and leaves होते हैं. Now this root, stem and the leaves, they are called as the vegetative plant organs. What are they called as? Vegetative parts of the plant or vegetative organs. Very, very, very important. Which are the vegetative parts of the plant? They are the root, stem and leaves, which form the primary structure of the plants. Now, at a definite stage of maturity, यानी जब plants एक particular stage तक जाएंगे, when they become mature, at that time the flowering plants, they start the production of flower, fruits and seeds. So after attending, or you can say after a certain period, when they become mature, at a certain age of maturity, the flowering plant will start the production of flowers, fruits and seeds. See, starting में कभी भी flowers, fruits and seeds नहीं होंगे. Initially जब भी embryo में से plant develop होगा तो पहले structures क्या बनेंगे? Vegetative parts, that is root, stems and leaves. But after attaining a certain age of maturity, they start the production of flowers, fruits and seeds. Now students, these organs, that is flowers, fruits and seeds, they are called as the reproductive organ. What are they called as? The flowers, fruits and seeds, they are called as the reproductive organ. Why are they called as a reproductive organ? Because these are the parts which play the important role in the sexual reproduction. They are the parts playing a very important role in the sexual reproduction of the flowering plants. So basically, which are the parts of the plant? So mainly the plant is divided into two regions. One is the underground root system and an aerial shoot system. Root system consists of the roots and their branches. Shoot system consists of the stem, branches and leaves. Now this stem, branches and leaves, what are they called as? Vegetative parts of the plant. Now when the plants attain the certain age of maturity, they start the production of flowers, fruits and leaves. So they flowers, fruits and seeds. So these flowers, fruits and seeds, they are called as the reproductive organs of the plant. See students, these are the parts of the flowering plant. This is the ground portion. So the portion below the ground, root system. The portion above the ground, it is called as the shoot system. Now root system bears the root. Shoot system, it bears the stem, it bears the leaf. So this is a stem, this is a leaf, and then there are branches. Now there are nodes, there are internodes. Now what is node, what is internode? We will deal in the later part of the chapter. Then they have the fruits, they have the flowers, and within the fruits they will contain the seeds. So these are the various parts of the flowering plant. See here you can see the root, the stem, the leaf, the flower, the nodes and internodes, the flowers and the fruits. So these are the various parts of the flowering plant. Now students, first of all we will deal with the vegetative organs of the plant. Which are the vegetative organs of the flowering plants? The root, the stem and the leaves. So first of all, today we will deal with the root portion. Now, how can we define a root? So basically a root is a non-green underground descending portion. Descending यानी नीचे की तरफ होता है. So descending portion of a plant which gives rise to the similar types of the lateral branches, and it does not possesses the nodes and internodes. So basically the root is a non-green underground part of a plant which give rise to its branches, and it does not have the nodes and the internodes. Now, no roots are negatively phototropic. Negatively phototropic. It grows away from the sunlight. वो ground के नीचे है. So, it grows away from the sunlight. That is called as negatively phototropic. Tropic is the direction. So, it grows away from the sunlight. Positively geotropic. It grows towards the gravity. Gravitational force की तरफ वो grow हो रहा है. That is positively geotropic. And positively hydrotropic. That is, it grows towards the water. So the roots are negatively phototropic, positively geotropic and positively hydrotropic. Hydro, water, geo, earth, gravity, and photo related to light. So it grows away from the light, it grows towards the gravity and towards the water. So they are negatively phototropic, positively geotropic and positively hydrotropic. Now we know that the embryo of a flowering plant consists of two portions. So basically one of the portion is a radicle and one of the portion is a plumule, and these two portions of the embryo, they lie at the opposite pole of the embryonic axis. Say for example, this is a developing embryo, this is the embryonic axis. So at one portion will be the radical part and at one portion there will be the plumule part, right? So the embryo basically consists of two portions, radicle and plumule, which lie at the opposite poles of the embryonic axis. Now, in majority of the dicotyledonous plant, the direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of the primary root which grows inside the soil. Now students, listen very carefully. जो डाइकॉट प्लांट होते हैं उनमें रेडिकल विल डायरेक्टली फॉर्म द रूट. रेडिकल का इलोंगेशन होगा, रेडिकल का ग्रोथ होगा, उसकी लेंथ इंक्रीज होगी and it forms a root. So the root which develops from the radicle, it is called as the primary root. Listen very carefully. The root developing from the radicle is called as the primary root, which will later form the tap root system. Now, this primary root, it will have the lateral roots of several orders which are referred to as secondary, tertiary, etc. root. Now say for example, मैं एक इधर diagram draw करती हूँ, it will be more clear. Say for example, this is the ground portion. यहाँ पे रेडिकल है. रेडिकल क्या बना रहा है? एक रूट बना रहा है. रेडिकल का इलोंगेशन हो रहा है. ये इलोंगेशन से जो रूट बना, ये वाले रूट को हम क्या बोलते हैं? प्राइमरी रूट. नाउ ये प्राइमरी रूट लेटरल साइड्स में क्या बना रहे हैं? ब्रांचेस. सो प्राइमरी रूट में से जो डायरेक्ट ब्रांचेस आते हैं, इसको बोलते हैं क्या? सेकेंडरी रूट्स. अभी ये सेकेंडरी रूट भी ब्रांचेस बना रहे हैं. सो व्हाट आर दिस रूट्स कॉल्ड एज? These are called as the tertiary lateral roots. So basically रेडिकल में से या रेडिकल का इलोंगेशन से जो रूट बनता है, दैट इज प्राइमरी रूट्स. प्राइमरी रूट्स के ब्रांचेस आर द लेटरल रूट्स. So that branches may be secondary branches, they may be tertiary branches, they may be quaternary branches, etc. So the primary root, it have the lateral roots of several orders which are referred to as secondary, tertiary or etc. roots. Now, the primary root and its branches, it constitute the taproot system. Say for example, ये ground level है, ये primary root है, ये primary root के branches है. These are the branches of the primary root. So a primary root and their branches together, what is it called as? It is called as a taproot system. So basically primary root, it is a direct prolongation of radicle. When the primary root persists and continues to grow as in dicotyledons, it forms the main root of the plant and it is called as the taproot. So in dicot primary root persists, यानी वो permanent होता है, it is lifelong and this will form the main root of the plant. Such root are called as the taproot. कोई प्लांट ऐसे होते हैं कि प्राइमरी रूट बनता है, लेकिन ये प्राइमरी रूट कैसे होते हैं? शॉर्ट लिव्ड होते हैं. सो उसकी जगह पे नए रूट्स बनते हैं. बट इन डाइकॉट्स द प्राइमरी रूट दे परसिस्ट and they are the root which are the main roots of the plant. So that is called as the taproot. Now, this taproot, it produces the lateral root that further branches into the finer roots. The taproot will develop the lateral roots and these lateral roots later will again form the finer branches. So, lateral roots along with its branches are also called as the secondary roots. So basically dicot में जो root होता है वो कौन सा होता है? taproot होता है. But in monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by large number of roots. Listen very carefully. मोनोकॉट में प्राइमरी रूट बनता है, यानी रेडिकल एक रूट बनाएगा जिसको प्राइमरी रूट बोलेंगे. लेकिन रेडिकल ने जो ये प्राइमरी रूट बनाया है, दैट इज शॉर्ट लिव्ड. इट डज नॉट लीव फॉर द लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. अभी लिसन, अगर रूट लॉन्गर पीरियड के लिए नहीं है, इट मीन्स के नए रूट का फॉर्मेशन ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि रूट के बिना तो प्लांट का काम होएगा ही नहीं. सो द प्राइमरी रूट्स दे आर रिप्लेस्ड बाय द अदर रूट्स. द प्राइमरी रूट्स आर रिप्लेस्ड बाय द large number of the other roots. Now ये जो नए roots बने वो कहाँ से आए? So these roots originate from the base of the stem and it constitutes the fibrous root system as in the wheat plant. So listen carefully. जहाँ पे इन मोनोकॉट्स के जहाँ पे प्राइमरी रूट शॉर्ट लिव्ड है, यानी प्राइमरी रूट ज़्यादा टाइम के लिए सर्वाइव नहीं करता है. सो यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि स्टेम के बेसल पोर्शन में से बहुत सारे रूट्स निकलते हैं. सो बेसल पोर्शन ऑफ द स्टेम, it forms the large number of the roots, and these roots are called as the fibrous roots. Large number of roots called as the fibrous roots. उनका स्ट्रक्चर कैसे होगा? थ्रेड लाइक फाइन स्ट्रक्चर होगा, इसीलिए उसको बोला है fibrous root system. In some plants like grass, monstera, banyan tree, roots arise from the plants other than the radicle and are called as the adventitious roots. So what are adventitious root? Root developing from any other part than the radicle, they are called as the adventitious root. So basically we can say that fibrous roots are one type of the adventitious roots which arise from the basal portion of the stem. So any root, a root which is developing from any other part than the radicle, रेडिकल के अलावा कोई भी पोर्शन में से अगर रूट का फॉर्मेशन होगा, then such roots are called as the adventitious roots. What are adventitious roots? Roots developing from the part other than the radicle. Such roots are called as the adventitious root. See students, we will see the diagram. So see students, ये रेडिकल में से फॉर्मेशन हुआ है, यानी ये कौन सा है? टैप रूट है. सी दिस इज द मेन रूट एंड देन दिस आर द लेटरल ब्रांचेस. नाउ सी दिस आर द फाइब्रस रूट. यहाँ पे स्टेम है, ये बेसल पोर्शन है स्टेम की, एंड ये बेसल पोर्शन है स्टेम की कि जहाँ पे छोटे छोटे थ्रेड लाइक रूट्स बने हैं. व्हाट आर दे कॉल्ड एज? फाइब्रस रूट्स. नाउ सी स्टूडेंट्स, एडवेंटिशियस रूट. फाइब्रस रूट्स आर वन टाइप ऑफ द एडवेंटिशियस रूट्स ओनली. यहाँ पे देखो ये क्या है? स्टेम है, ये नोड है स्टेम की, कि जहाँ पे क्या डेवलप हुआ है? रूट्स का फॉर्मेशन हुआ है. आप सबने बनियान ट्री देखा है, बनियान ट्री में से जो उसके एरियल ब्रांचेस है उसमें से रूट्स निकलते हैं. सो ऑल सच रूट्स विच डेवलप फ्रॉम द पार्ट्स अदर देन द रेडिकल, व्हाट आर दे कॉल्ड एज? दे आर कॉल्ड एज द एडवेंटिशियस रूट्स. सी स्टूडेंट्स, दिस इज अ टैप रूट सिस्टम. ये मेन रूट है जो रेडिकल में से बनता है. सी दिस इज द मेन रूट, ये उसके ब्रांचेज है, ये प्राइमरी, ये सेकेंडरी ब्रांचेज है, एंड दिस इज अ फाइब्रस रूट सिस्टम. तो देखो ये बेसल पार्ट ऑफ द स्टेम है जिसमें से रूट्स का फॉर्मेशन हुआ है. सो सच रूट्स आर कॉल्ड एज द फाइब्रस रूट्स. नाउ स्टूडेंट्स, द मेन फंक्शंस ऑफ द रूट. व्हाट आर द मेन फंक्शंस ऑफ द रूट्स? सो it is absorption of the water and minerals from the soil. रूट का मेन काम क्या है? they absorb the water and mineral from the soil and provide it to the complete plant. they provide the proper anchorage to the plants, यानी plants they are anchored in the soil, so that anchorage in the soil to the plant is provided by the roots. They store the reserve food material. See, plants photosynthesis, leaf जो है वो photosynthesis से food का preparation कर लेंगे. Now whatever food is prepared वो immediately use नहीं होगा. Some part of the food will be used and some part of the food it needs to be stored. So the roots they form the storage structure. So they store the reserve food, and they help in the synthesis of the plant growth regulators. What are plant growth regulators? They are the hormones which are secreted by the plants. So basically ये hormone का secretion, certain hormones are secreted by the roots. So these are the four main functions of the root. Apart from these main functions, in certain plants they perform the additional functions too. So which are the main functions of the roots? Absorption of water and minerals from the soil, providing the proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing the reserve food material, and synthesis of the plant growth regulators. These are the main functions of the roots. Now students, we will deal with the different regions of the roots. The roots are divided into three main regions. So which are those regions of the roots? So basically पहले we will talk about the root cap. So basically the root is covered by at the apex by a thimble or you can say cap like structure called as root cap. So basically जो root का tip portion होता है, that root tip portion of the root is covered by a cap like structure, and that cap like structure covering the tip portion or the apex portion of the root is called as a root cap. So root tip, it is covered by dome shaped parenchymatous cells which is called as a root cap. Root cap में कौन से cells होते हैं? Parenchyma. We know that the कोई भी plant organ के अंदर tissues होते हैं, तो ये root cap में कौन सा tissue होगा? Parenchyma. It protects the meristematic cells in the apex. Now see, the main region apex है, apex के अंदर meristematic cells है जो सेल डिवीजन होकर नए नए सेल को ऐड करता है. सो ये रीजन के प्रोटेक्शन के लिए देर इज अ कैप लाइक स्ट्रक्चर कॉल्ड एज अ रूट कैप फॉर्म्ड ऑफ द पेरेन्काइमेटस सेल. नाउ एग्जाम्पल है, एक पेंडेनस प्लांट है जिसमें मल्टीपल रूट कैप इज प्रेजेंट, बहुत सारे रूट कैप्स होते हैं. वेरेज इन पिस्टिया इंस्टेड ऑफ रूट कैप रूट पॉकेट इज प्रेजेंट. सो पिस्टिया एक प्लांट है कि जहाँ पे रूट कैप नहीं होगा, बट इंस्टेड ऑफ रूट कैप रूट पॉकेट आर देयर. सो बेसिकली रूट पॉकेट आर द रूट कैप्स. रूट पॉकेट भी एक रूट कैप है, बट दे हैव लॉस्ट देयर यूटिलिटी ड्यू टू द नॉन यूज. सो basically root pockets are the non-functional root caps. In the simple terms we can say that root pockets are the non-functional root caps. यानी root caps है लेकिन उसका कोई काम नहीं है. सो एक्वेटिक प्लांट्स में इसकी कोई, बेसिकली पिस्टिया एक एक्वेटिक प्लांट है कि जिसमें ये रूट कैप की ज़रूरत नहीं है, फिर भी है. So that non-functional root caps are called as the root pockets. What is the general function of the root cap? So it protects the apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. See for example, ये ground portion है, ये root है, ये root का tip portion है, right? This portion is the tip portion. The end portion is the tip portion. अभी जैसे रूट का ग्रोथ होगा तो यही पार्ट क्या हो रहा है, सॉइल के अंदर पेनिट्रेट हो रहा है. सो ये वाले पार्ट को प्रोटेक्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो उसके लिए ये वाला पोर्शन एक कैप लाइक स्ट्रक्चर से कवर्ड होगा विच इज़ कॉल्ड एज द रूट कैप. नाउ a few millimeters above the root cap there are three distinct zones or regions on the basis of the meristematic activity. root cap से few millimeters above there are different regions, and these regions or zones are classified on the basis of their meristematic activity. meristematic activity यानी क्या वो cells division के capable है या नहीं. So which are the different regions of the root? So first is the meristematic region or the meristematic zone. So basically it is few millimeters above the root cap, and here the cells possess the meristematic activity. meristematic activity यानी जो meristematic zone के जो cells है they are capable of undergoing cell division, hence they add new and new cells to the root. So basically the cells of this region are very small, they are thin walled and have a dense protoplasm and they divide repeatedly. See, meristematic tissue, ये स्टडी आपने किया है 9th स्टैंडर्ड में, यही स्टैंडर्ड में हम फिर से नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में भी स्टडी करेंगे. बट व्हाट आर मेरिस्टेमेटिक सेल्स और मेरिस्टेमेटिक टिश्यूज? द सेल्स ऑफ दिस टिश्यूज अंडरगो कंटिन्यूअस सेल डिविजन. सो मेरिस्टेमेटिक रीजन में जो सेल्स है, रूट के मेरिस्टेमेटिक रीजन में जो सेल्स है दे आर वेरी स्मॉल, दे आर थिन वॉल्ड एंड हैव अ डेंस प्रोटोप्लाज्म एंड दे डिवाइड रिपीटेडली. Now above the meristematic region is the region or zone of the elongation. So elongation नाम से ही मालूम पड़ता है elongate करना. So basically यहाँ के जो cells है, see due to meristematic activity नए cells बनेंगे. Now this newly formed cell they increase in size and are responsible to increase the length of the root. So that is called as the zone of the elongation. So the cells proximal to this region yani to the region of the meristematic, they undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of the root in length. यानी मेरिस्टेमेटिक रीजन के तुरंत ही ऊपर की साइड जो सेल्स है दे विल increase in length, they will rapidly elongate, they will enlarge and are responsible to increase the length of the root. So this region which lies above the meristematic region is called as the zone or region of elongation. The region of the root which lies above the meristematic region is called as the zone of elongation or region of elongation, whose cells will rapidly elongate. They will increase in size and are finally responsible to increase the length of the roots. And finally is the region or zone of the maturation. So what is region or zone of maturation? So basically ये जो रीजन है इट लाइज अबव द इलोंगेशन जोन, यानी सबसे नीचे मेरिस्टेमेटिक जोन, उसके ऊपर इलोंगेशन जोन एंड अबव द इलोंगेशन जोन इज द जोन ऑफ मैच्योरेशन. नाउ यहाँ के जो सेल्स है दे हैव लॉस्ट द कैपेसिटी टू डिवाइड एंड फाइनली they will assume particular structure, they will assume the particular function. यानी यहाँ के cells they differentiate and mature, differentiate into tissues. Some of the cells will form parenchyma, some of the cells get converted into xylem tissue, some gets converted into phloem. So यहाँ पे maturation zone में the cells they have attained final structure and form and they perform the particular functions. So hence this zone proximal to the region of elongation is called as the region of maturation. So the region above the region of the elongation is called as the zone of the maturation, के जहाँ पे cells they attain particular shape, they attain particular form and they attain the particular function. Now ये सेल के जो एपिडर्म, ये जोन के जो एपिडर्मल सेल्स है यानी आउटर मोस्ट जो सेल्स होते हैं they form the very fine and delicate thread like structure called as the root hairs. So basically from the zone of maturation arises the root hairs, and the root hairs they help in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So maturation zone के जो epidermal cells है उनमें से root hairs will come out, and these root hairs will help in the absorption of the minerals and water from the soil. So basically these are the three zones or regions of the root. First is the region of the or zone of meristematic activity, second is the zone of the elongation, and finally is the zone of the maturation. See students, this is explained in the tabular form. So root zones, which are the root zones? Meristematic zone, zone of elongation and zone of maturation. Now where are they located? What is their position in the root? So basically the meristematic zone, it lies above the root cap, elongation zone lies above the meristematic zone, and maturation zone lies above the zone of elongation. Now which type of cells are present in each and every zone? So in the meristematic zones, meristematic cells are present which divide and continuously increase in number. In the elongation zone, there are elongated cell, and in the zone of maturation, there are differentiated cells. And what are the functions of these zones? So, basically, the meristematic zone, it is a growing tip of the root. Elongation zone increase the length and cause the enlargement of the root, and then there is the मैच्योरेशन जोन के जहाँ पे उसका फंक्शन क्या है, द सेल्स गेट डिफ्रेंशिएटेड इनटू टिश्यूज लाइक दे फॉर्म द एपिडर्मिस, कॉर्टेक्स, वस्कुलर बंडल. ये क्या है वो हम बाद में देखेंगे, बट यहाँ के सेल्स दे अटेन द पर्टिकुलर शेप, फॉर्म एंड फाइनली परफॉर्म द फंक्शंस. एंड दूसरा, दे will form the root hairs which absorb the minerals and water from the soil. So this is regarding the various regions of the root. See students, the diagram here you can see that this is the tip portion of the root, जिसको ये वाले पोर्शन को क्या बोलते हैं, द रीजन ऑफ द मेरिस्टेमेटिक एक्टिविटी या सेल डिवीजन. नाउ ये वाला पोर्शन सॉइल में पेनिट्रेट होता जाता है, so it is covered by a cap like structure and this cap like structure is called as a root cap. Now above this is the zone of elongation के जहाँ पे cells कैसे है, elongated है, and above the zone of the elongation is the cells or you can say region of maturation कि जहाँ पे cells they attain the particular structure and function. and ये region में से lateral portion में से क्या निकलते हैं, root hairs. and this root hair they help in the absorption of they penetrate inside the soil and help in the absorption and of the minerals and water. So students, today today I will end my lecture here. What did we studied? So basically we studied regarding the parts of the flowering plants. We have studied regarding the first vegetative organ, that is the root. In root we have studied its definition, its general characteristics. We have also studied the main types of the root system, that is taproot system and the fibrous root system. We have also studied the main functions of the root, and finally we have studied regarding the different regions of the root. Students, in the next lecture we will be studying regarding the modifications of the root. Root के main functions तो हमने study किए, but in certain plants it performs other functions too. So in next lecture we will be studying regarding the modifications of the roots and other vegetative organs of the plants. I end my lecture here. Thank you students.